Hey, how's it going? This is Robert, and this is also the Robert Rambles podcast for September 3rd, 2019. Welcome. Welcome to another podcast, another great day, another great hot day in sunny California. I've noticed that I have kind of a time limit in the place where... Okay, so I have a time limit as far as my comfortability goes because... I have an apartment and it has really nice AC. It feels really nice in here. But when I record the podcast, it's got to be turned off. Otherwise, you're just going to hear like in the background, just constant like annoying noise happening. So when I start the podcast, it's very cool. It's very nice. And then as the podcast creeps to its end, it starts to get hotter. So yeah, hopefully one day I can record in a place with AC that doesn't bother the microphone. But we'll see if I ever get to that point. In the meantime, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing out there? Hurricane, I wanted to say Hurricane Dolan, but it's Hurricane Durrani? Hurricane... You know what? You know the hurricane. The one that's taken up my Facebook feed. That's the hurricane I'm talking about. The one where you guys won't stop talking about getting gasoline and water. I get it. You got to prepare. Although I lived in Florida for most of my life, and dude, every time we got a hurricane warning, everyone would prepare. People would be taping up their windows and all this preparation. And I'm not saying don't prepare. You should do this every time. You should get the gallons of water and fill up your cart, of gas, and you should prepare. But where I lived, it was always a threat, and we never got anything. And it was great because when I was just in high school, and you'd get a hurricane warning, Category 5 is going to hit you, and we can't, for your safety, you got to stay home from school. I loved it. I loved it because you'd wake up the next morning and it'd be sunny as fuck outside, and it was great. And now you have all this extra water. The cars fill up with gas, so let's go somewhere. We just filled up our gas. We were expecting the apocalypse, and instead we got like the perfect summer day. So the cars filled up. We got water. We're sitting pretty good. Sometimes like maybe we should put a few fake disasters coming our way. Really nip us in nip us in the bud and help us prepare ourselves for disaster. And then there's no disaster coming. But at the end of the day, you got your food all stocked, you got your water all stocked. It's just a way to force you to kind of take care of yourselves. Throw in a few fake hurricanes, but not all the time. They don't, obviously, there's going to be some real ones coming in. But once in a while, let's throw in a fake hurricane. Category 5. It's funny, dealing with hurricanes while I was living in Florida. Okay, so people who don't know, Category 5 is the highest of the categories of hurricane. But after a while, it's like, you've been saying it's a Category 5, and I haven't been seeing anything. It's really arrogant. But yeah, I'm not really scared of it anymore. You got to start doing Category 6s. If we started upping the number, I think people would be more afraid. And I'm sure there's a meteorologist who, or in meteorology that, they've determined how we address numbers to hurricanes. In fact, maybe I should look that up. How to number a hurricane. Is that a good Google search, or is it going to be confused? How to categorize a hurricane. How to number a hurricane. Scale 1 to 5, based on hurricanes' wind speed. Okay. Yeah, Category 3 and higher are considered major hurricanes because of their potential for significant loss of life and damage. Significant loss of life. Are they referring to the hurricane's life Or are they referring to the people that they're killing? I don't know. But I'm just saying that if you threw in a hurricane category 6, make it up, it's going to scare some people. You know, you gotta make it interesting. Let's throw some category 6s in there. Maybe some 7s every once in a while. But I will say I have been enjoying the memes that have been coming up. You know, I saw a meme of this one guy who seemed to have literally 20 gas containers in his car, taking up all the gas for himself. Now, granted, that could have been just someone doing that, not during hurricane season, and, you know, photoshopped it to be like, oh, this is why we don't have any gas during hurricane season. You know, poor guy if that's what happened. But if it's not, dude, that guy's an asshole. The guy, why do you need that much gas? You don't need that much gasoline. You don't. Even if you had an RV, I can't imagine the drive home with 20 full gas containers of gasoline. And God forbid that guy got in a car accident. I mean, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see what would happen. But some good news. I have not thrown up from eating too much cake. I haven't had any cake. That's something I shouldn't have to announce. I haven't had any cake. What I'm trying to say is I haven't eaten anything too bad lately. Been trying to keep up with the health. I am doing another 5K coming up in 2 days. Doing a 5K. So I've been kind of trying to train for that. I did a 5K this year already, and it was really fun, but it was my first time ever doing anything with a label marathon in it. So I was just really preparing for this 5K, and I trained a lot, but this time I haven't been training as much, although I trained last night. But I don't know. It clearly, like, my time's getting hit by the lack of training. So I'm hoping that I'm going to train today and tomorrow, and I'm hoping that on the day, maybe I could beat my time. But this 5K is going to be a little bit, I believe, easier. The last one I did had a lot of really steep hills, and it was hard as fuck. But I had a pretty good time. I forgot exactly what it was. But it wasn't a bad time. I remember that. And this marathon, I believe, is more flat surfaces. So, which, makes a whole world of difference. So, we'll see how that goes. But I went running last night in a park at nighttime, which, of course, all the stories of, people getting murdered in parks come into my head. And, what does it? You know what show I watch a lot that makes me paranoid is the show Forensic Files. Has anyone ever watched that show? First of all, it's great. It's like little mini murder mysteries. It's basically like Unsolved Mysteries, except at the end, it's not a cliffhanger. It's not, and they're not just like, and, this guy murdered 7 people, and now we don't know where he is. We filmed this episode in the 90s. He's probably still out there. No, Forensic Files, they tell you who the guy is at the end. You figure it out. Or the girl. A lot of times, there are episodes where they're trying to figure out how this guy died, and it was his fucking wife with antifreeze in his soup. Yeah. If anything, if this show has taught me anything, it's that person that you think loves you will probably murder you. Probably. Not saying that they will, but there's a good chance. Very good chance. I mean, if you got a house in each other's names, and that house goes to them, just saying, watch your back. Just saying, test the soup. A little slurp. If it tastes funny, throw it out. Oh, that was great soup, honey. Psh, into the sink. Wow, you really eat your soup. You ate your soup fast. It's like, well, you've been serving it to me every night. That's weird that we've been having soup every night. Or if you got, okay, so here's the thing, or a life insurance policy, I was going to say. Do you have to tell other people how much life insurance you have? I don't have life insurance. I think it's something important to have later in life, but you don't have to tell people shit, right? I'm speaking on this topic not knowing a single thing about it. So, because, look, if I was married and had a life insurance policy, can't I just tell my wife, yeah, I got life insurance, you'll be fine. It will at least cover the funeral. Do I have to tell them that, if I was wealthy, I got a $100,000 life insurance policy. I got $1 million one, if I was rich. I think it's dangerous to start telling people the number. Why do they have to know? Look, the point is that, hey, it pays, it helps you pay for the service and the funeral and all that shit. And then after that, hopefully there's some to take care of me before I get back on my feet. Is this supposed to be a check that helps you for the rest of your life? I guess depending on your age. If you guys are elderly. But that's only determining if one person is the breadwinner. If they both have had a job and both have income, I don't know. I don't know how that works. Look, all I'm saying is that I wouldn't say the number. I'm not telling the person the number. I'll get them a high number, but they'll never know. They'll never know unless they listen to this podcast right now. So, for my own safety, I'm not telling anybody. But yeah, that Forensic File show is great. I highly recommend it. It was made in the 80s and 90s, so it has that old, for me, nostalgic feel. And it also reminds you, damn, dude, it is so hard to get away with murder. It is difficult. Because, sure, we can bring up cases where people got away with shit. We could talk about O.J. Simpson all day long, but most cases, I think 9 out of 10 cases, you're probably going to get caught. There's just too much shit. There'll be a guy who murders this girl in her apartment, and they'll find a fucking piece of thread that belonged to not even a thread. They'll find a piece of fur, and they're like, ooh, this is a dog fur. But she didn't own a dog. Whose dog was it? And then they'll fucking track this guy. Oh, she used to say hi to this guy that walked his dog outside. Well, let's get the DNA evidence of his dog. Oh, crap, that's the dog. Oh, that's the owner. Next thing you know, the guy gets caught for murdering. This is all good things, by the way. I'm not complaining about this. But I'm just saying, it's crazy. You get the dog's fur. Oh, the owner. Oh, he had a history of violence. Oh, and then he had a motive. And this was just a guy walking his dog, thinking to himself, you know what? I bet I can get away with the lady that I say hi to when I'm walking my dog. I bet I can murder her and get away with it. I don't really know her. I don't even know her fucking name. She doesn't know me. But no, you had that fucking dog with you. You got it on your pants. And then they found it on the floor. They found it on her mattress, found it in the bathroom. You know what's really stupid is, you'll have a guy like that. They'll sneak into someone's house, murder the person, and then wash their hands in the sink. They're not going to do a swab for that. They're not going to check. I don't know. I feel, because I don't really watch sports, but I'll be yelling at that show like it's a damn football game. I'll be like, why the fuck are you washing your hands? Hey, why are you not wearing gloves? They're going to catch you. I'm rooting for the murderer. I don't know. That show's crazy. It's addicting, and I love it. And it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu and Netflix. Freaking whores. They're whores in the streaming world. Speaking of streaming, everyone excited for Disney Plus? Of course you are, because you have to be. Because if you're not, well, I guess you don't have to be. But I haven't really looked too far into it, but it's attached to Hulu. It's attached to your Hulu, so it's fine. That was probably a smart move because I don't know if I would have got it if it wasn't already attached to something else, which really doesn't make a difference. It's like, oh, a Disney Plus streaming service. Nah, I'm okay. But then it's like, oh no, but it's just attached to your Hulu. So it's just like a add-on. And I'm like, oh, okay. It would have cost the same. But I don't want to move over to a different app on my smart TV. I don't want to have to hit the right arrow to Disney Plus. I want to be able to see my Hulu shows and then a line of Disney Plus material. The Mandalorian, that's a new show. And then I'm already in Hulu. I go to Disney Plus. It's convenient. But there are some... Dude, this is really just turning into cable again. I mean, streaming services, like... Seriously, replace the word streaming with channel. Netflix channel. Go to the Netflix channel. How's that any different from going to the NBC channel? Oh, they have their list of original content, which of course they do. And then they're playing other shows, reruns, and movies. And it's basically cable, but we're paying more for it. Where the idea is, you had all these really younger people that kind of hopped right out of getting cable because it was too damn expensive, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna get the Netflix, and I'm fine. I remember back in the day, it was just all about the Netflix. You had Netflix, and then I want to say Hulu came around, and it was like, what the fuck is a Hulu? I don't want this. And they're like, oh, it has that stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll get it. So you had Netflix and Hulu. And then you were fine. And then Amazon Prime comes out. And now you have 3. And then you have like very specialty ones like Crunchyroll, which I think is more for anime. You have stuff like that. And you're just building up channels. You're building up your own cable. That's what you're doing. I mean, it reminds me, like, back in the day, man, like, even with video games, it was so much simpler, too. It's like you had a Nintendo and a Sega, and that was really it. What side are you on? Are you on Nintendo or are you on Sega? In the world that I lived in, at least in the beginning, before the systems got cheaper, it was like I had a choice to make. Are you Nintendo or Sega? Which one is it? We're not buying both. We can't afford both, but we'll buy you one. And then eventually, as it got cheaper, you had both. But yeah, and that's how it was in the beginning. Even with streaming, it was like, okay, I have Netflix, and it's nice. They have all these movies. Oh, and then now Hulu's around, and now Amazon's around. Do I have anyone? There's one called Sling. I don't even know what the fuck that is. What's it? Let's see. Sling streaming. What is that? I went to one where I went to one streaming service because I was looking for a movie, and honestly, 9 times out of 10, the movie I want to watch is not on Netflix. The movies that are on Netflix, I'm like, I would never really want to watch these movies. So I found one, and I'm not saying it was on Sling, but it was on one of those those streaming services that I've never heard of. And you know what it was? I wanted it because it was Halloween time, and I wanted to watch Halloween, and I couldn't find it anywhere without renting it for $8. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I found one that was streaming it live, but it had ads, and I'm like, all right, I'll pretend it's on TV. It cuts to, it'll find its spot, it'll fade out, go to commercial, come back, fade in, and it'll be fine. Dude, it was the worst experience. I didn't even finish the movie. I didn't get past the first act because the movie started, and some of this, dude, people that broadcast shit, TV and movies, you gotta get the volume control. You gotta get the volume under control. Because I put on this movie, and Jamie Lee Curtis is just talking like this the whole time. And I had to raise it. To max volume to hear this damn movie. Now, granted, it's probably the way, because this came from some streaming service that was it was free. It was cheap as fuck. And I'm I don't even know how this streaming service is making money. But hey, they got Halloween. Oh, that's how they're making money, because they put ads on it. So the volume was super low, and then when it would cut to commercial, it would blast the commercial. And it was and the ads would come in so frequent, and it wasn't even like they were trying to find a nice place. Like maybe, Jamie Lee Curtis is, she sees Michael by the bed sheets, and then she goes and does something else, and the scene kind of calms down and leaves an opening for a commercial. No, this was just at random picking spots where it's, you're just watching the movie, and then bam, all of a sudden there's a commercial. It was the worst experience, and I couldn't even finish the movie. So, so Sling. Everything you need to know from Sling, from CNET. Sling TV was the first live streaming service. Live TV streaming service. Really? Before Hulu? Because Hulu has like the Hulu Live or whatever, right? Which again is basically just you're buying cable. You're just getting it through Hulu. You know what? I'm reading all this, and I'm trying to find the spot where it just tells me. Okay, so basically from what I'm seeing, you watch a collection of live and on-demand TV channels. Okay, so it's basically just cable. Just cable. All right. Sling is cable. See, that's what I mean. So now you have like multiple streaming services with basically they're just cable. I don't know. And now there's another one called HBO. Okay, so there's HBO Now, HBO Go, and HBO Max, and which is basically it's HBO streaming a lot of Warner Brothers material. This has got to be a rights thing, right? Because I would like to think that, let's say, a company like HBO would want to put everything in one. Like, there's a reason why this is so separate. It's got to be, because if this is specific for Warner Brothers, that's got to be because Warner Brothers, like, we want our own, or I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. It's getting kind of confusing, more confusing than ever. It's just another thing where, like, the second, like, Disney jumps on the train, all of a sudden everyone else has all this crap coming out. More so than ever. Like, we had HBO Go for Game of Thrones, and now that's over. And so it just seems like there's a tidal wave of streaming services coming in more than ever. They've been creeping in, but ever since Disney Plus happened, the marketing for that has been so intense, and everyone knows about it. So I just feel like other companies are kind of feeling it, and they're like, okay, yeah, we got to do something. We got to put out another HBO streaming service. We got to do it. We got to kick it to the max. Oh, that's a good idea. HBO Max. Why is it HBO Max if it's just a Warner Brothers thing? I don't know. HBO Now, HBO Go. I don't know. Like, the titles don't really tell me what they are. So, but I don't know. Whatever entertains us, everyone's going to have, what the problem's going to be? Everyone's going to have their star show. Like, Netflix has Stranger Things. Let's just say, I don't know what else is on the Disney lineup, but let's just say Disney Plus's star shows and Mandalorian. You're going to have a new Game of Thrones for HBO coming in. Everyone's going to have their star show that just fucking kills. And so what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna get all these streaming services basically to watch one show, and you try to trick yourself. You're like, well, they have other movie options. I'm sure I'll use it. You won't. You probably won't. You'll watch the one show you like, and then you'll realize, oh my god, I've been paying $20 a month to watch a single show. So, although this is also coming from a guy that, I don't watch as much TV as I should, so it's obviously a biased opinion, but I really want to be that guy. I actually really want to be that guy that just binge watches everything. Because I'm like in the know, Then I know what's going on. I know what the hot TV show is. Like, it took me, I watched the Stranger Things season 3, but it took me way longer than everyone else. Everyone else seemed to do it like in a day or two. that comes out yesterday, and they're like, oh man, the finale. I'm like, how the fuck do you know about the finale? Like, Jesus. Can you give me a second? Can you give me a second to watch a whole season of a show? Ugh. Dude, same thing. Nah, this is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. But just give me some time to watch something. That's why I saw something. I only saw one article of it about Netflix possibly doing a weekly release for depending on the show, releasing an episode per week, and I am all for it. Shut everyone up. No one's got to know the finale of a show the day it comes out. No one needs access to the season finale of a show the day the season premieres. You just don't. And I know you want to binge watch, but you know what? Can you control yourself? Can you calm down for 1 second? Do you really need to watch 20 episodes in a day? Relax. Just enjoy it. But, I also get it too. Like, for instance, I watched the show Lost, and I loved it. And you know what? If I had to wait a week for that show, that would have been awful. Because I watched that show after it was out, and, all the episodes were on, I believe Netflix. All the episodes were on, and yeah, I binge watched. I did. So, one thing you're going to discover about me is that I'm going to seem to have a strong opinion on this side, and then next thing you know, I'm going to follow it up with the exact opposite argument. And that's how I like to call that being open-minded, but it might just be confusion. But I want you to know that at least I'm looking at both sides. I get it. I get the person that wants to binge watch and spend, every waking moment glued to Netflix. I get it, because it's entertainment. It's the same thing with, like I did that with video games. You still do that with video games. If there's a video game that I am really into, I'm going to be all about it. And you're not going to hear from me for weeks. So I get it. Totally get it. But at the same time, maybe we do need some kind of pushback. Maybe this is a good thing for Netflix to do. A little bit of a pushback where, we tell people to relax, to enjoy the episode for what it is, and then we'll see you next week. Or you know what? I'd even say, why have to wait a whole week? Release it each day. Just give your brains a rest. So, but and you know what? Or you could just wait for it all to come out. If you don't want to get spoiled on if you don't want to get spoiled on the internet, if you think you can avoid the spoilers, yeah, just wait for them all to come out and you'll be fine. But I feel like we all need to be watching something. Like I've been going through, I forgot where I saw this. It was a video of this dude, clearly a meth addict. Well, I'll tell you clearly because of what he was doing. He was smoking meth. And he had this thing. Do you remember that? Remember Pineapple Express where they had, where James Franco was trying to smoke that? I forgot the name of it, but it looked like kind of a crucifix or whatever. It was a cross, and it was like basically a bunch of blunts in one. That's what this guy was doing, except it was with meth or crack or whatever. I honestly don't know. And he had 4 crack pipes in his mouth. And he had friendship. He had friends lighting up the other ones because he can only light up, I guess, 2. And this guy smoked 4 crack pipes at once, and he went to Unicorn Land or wherever he went. I can't imagine. It looks like something that like a crackhead would watch and be like, "Whoa, at least I'm not as bad as that guy." Where are you? Like, how do you get to that place? How do you get to that place where you're smoking 4 crack pipes at once? How do you get there? I don't know. But one thing I was thinking about crack pipes the other day. I have a question about crack pipes. If there's anyone that has knowledge on crack pipes, please unfriend me. But no, if for real, if you know this, What is, because I've gone into smoke shops before, and I've seen the pipes they had, and for the longest time, at least in California, weed is legal, but for the longest time when you would sell, a bowl or something, it would be like, oh, this is for tobacco use only. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it. It's just a way to protect yourself. But what is the crack pipe really used for? Because I feel like I've seen them, it's just like a glass tube into a ball. And I would have sworn I've seen them in smoke shops. I feel like they have to be, because who the hell is blowing glass to like make their own crack pipe? So what is that properly used for? Is it also tobacco, or is it something else? Or is it just, we're just selling it? Yeah, you put crack in it. I feel like that's not the case, because you could get in trouble for that. But I wondered if I could just buy a crack pipe and just use it the way that they advertise it to be used. Like, let's say, for instance, it is used for tobacco. I don't know if that's what it is. But I buy a crack pipe and I buy tobacco, and I could just go out in public with a crack pipe. And the second someone questions me, I'm like, hey, this is a tobacco pipe. This is for tobacco use only. And that's what I'm doing. Is it illegal for me to smoke tobacco out of a tobacco pipe? That's what it's used for. Because I would think all those drug pipes, man, I sound like a damn like boomer. All those drug pipes, with the drugs in it. But you know what I mean. The ones that are not like an actual pipe or for weed, like when you start getting to like, the meth crack area. What could I just use those pipes properly? Am I making up a scenario in my head where smoke shops don't really sell those? I don't know. I might just be talking about a fantasy world, but I always thought I always thought that would be something I technically would be legal, right? If I had a crack pipe and put like something legal in it, like tobacco or something, I should be able to do that. I mean, I'm not going to. I mean, you can't even get me to smoke cigarettes. I'm not going to be smoking tobacco out of a crack pipe. But just a thought that I had. Just Robert thoughts. Just Robert thoughts. Oy. Speaking of Netflix, is anyone excited for The Irishman? It's The Irishman, right? Is anyone excited for this movie that I'm not really sure of the title? It's The Irishman. Is it Martin Scorsese or Martin Scorsese? I always say Martin Scorsese. I think that's right. But The Irishman is a Martin Scorsese movie on Netflix. You get a guy like that to go to Netflix. So, yeah, budget's $140 million. I still don't really understand Netflix's, like, how they make profits. I think I read something like the subscriber, just the money they get from subscribers alone is like $50 million a month or something like that. I really don't remember, but I don't know. The fact that like a big director like that is going into streaming. And then you have Spielberg, who I don't know what his thought is now on streaming, but I thought I read something that he was like not really for it. But I kind of get both sides. Here it is again. I get both sides, because you have someone like Tarantino who it's not just about making a movie. It's like the experience of watching it. And that's why Tarantino will have, like, when I went to see Hateful Eight, I went to that like really special screening where it was like the 70 millimeter with an intermission. So the movie stopped in the middle for 20 minutes because his idea was like, well, that's how it used to be. And so you'd be watching this movie and then it would stop and you'd have an intermission to go to the bathroom and everything. But it would also give people a chance to talk about the movie so far. Like, hey, are you liking it? Do you have any idea of where it's going? Things like that. And that is kind of cool. And it was a cool experience. So, but that's not something you can really do you're not going to pause. You're not going to like voluntarily pause the movie halfway through and talk to your friend about it. So I don't know. It's interesting seeing like certain directors being cool with streaming and certain directors not being cool with streaming. It's definitely it's a big question because I agree with Tarantino. It's like it is kind of an experience. You go to the theater, it's you might not think of it at the time, but you go into the concession getting your popcorn, and you're sitting in there, and the movie starts, and there's just a vibe to it. There's just a vibe to it. But then there's also the convenience of wanting to watch a movie and not leaving your house. So I don't know. If I was a big time director, which at this point I don't really have much interest in directing, but if I did, I feel like I would be on both sides. It would be interesting to make a movie for theaters, and then it would be interesting to see how people, I don't know, how would the reaction be? Because how would do you think that the environment that you watch the movie in affects your enjoyment? Because you definitely, like, you could be dealing with people that don't stop talking. Maybe the seat's uncomfortable. Maybe you did have to leave the theater to go to the bathroom and you missed some of it. Maybe accidentally missed a really crucial part. But then, you could be at home watching a movie and you can just get distracted. Maybe your pet jumps on the couch and you start playing with the pet, and which begs the question, is the movie really captivating you enough to where you can't stop playing with your pet while the movie's on? A thing that really I hate, and this is not with every movie, but if it's a movie that, like, hey, I've never seen it before, this seems pretty heavy, we should pay attention. When people start talking, if I'm with a group of people and they start like chattering, dude, I'm like, can I just watch this like alone? Can we reschedule this, because I'm trying to listen. I don't mind like speaking up every so often, but if it's like I've been with people that just have full on conversations and I'm just like, no, I can't do it. I can't. Comedy movies I'm okay, because it's like like a movie like The Irishman, it seems like you really gotta pay attention and be invested in the plot, where you might have a comedy movie that's really about the jokes. Obviously there's a story that you want to follow, so you try your best to pay attention. But if people talk during comedy, I don't know, I don't get as annoyed by that. But I know I am excited for it. I'm excited for The Irishman, which is for Netflix, and I am excited for Joker. That Joker trailer, man. I don't even know what to make of it anymore, because the first trailer made me cry and the second one was just badass. And dude, it's just, I try not to dissect it too much, but stuff like, if anyone's ever watched it, the guy in the tuxedo really seems to be, God, my brain is like, fried right now. Looking up, Thomas Wayne. Pretty sure that guy's Thomas Wayne. I think that's like made official. And then you have like little Bruce in it, which it seems like they have beef with each other, Thomas Wayne, and which maybe could, start to spark why Batman and Joker kind of have beef. You have Robert De Niro in it, where to me, in the last trailer and this one, they keep showing Robert De Niro, letting the Joker come out behind the curtain. I just have this feeling some shit's going to go down when he's, I would assume, doing stand-up on his show. So I am excited for that. It seems like no one really knows who the Joker is without his makeup on, because there's like a shot of all these like kind of Joker supporters, and Joaquin Phoenix is walking around and without his makeup, and no one seems to be reacting to him at all. And you know why for just being like having just to have face makeup, he really looks way different. He really does. So, I guess if I was in the crowd of people, I wouldn't know that was a Joker. I would think it was just some regular guy. So, I'm stoked. I think we have a few, and then after that, we have the Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, I believe, coming out after Joker. And dude, I'm kind of excited for this lineup. There's actually a few. There's a good amount of movies that I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. And now we have It Chapter 2 coming out in 3 days. I can't. Dude, I'm all ready for movies. I'm in movie mode. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So I'm gonna move on to some questions. I don't have many questions, and we're about 40 minutes in. So I'm gonna go to some questions really quick, and I got two this episode. One is let's just dive right into it. So our first question is from Kirsten, who says, "How do you go about writing, getting words on paper?" Just getting, okay, so like getting your idea out of your head and onto the paper. Good question. Thank you for that. Well, that is a really good question. I can only tell you about my writing process. I think that everyone's different, and you kind of find your own. You find your own way of like, your own creative way to kind of put your ideas together. You might have an idea for something. And what I usually do is I let it sit in my brain for a while and just let it stew. The scripts that I've written from beginning to end, pretty much all of them, though, they obviously sparked from one initial idea, but all of them, I was able to finish all of them because I originally let those ideas just stew in my brain. They just sat there. I built on top of it. Because the thing is, I used to just kind of, I have an idea, boom, get to writing. And then I've spent all this time on an idea that I realize is not as great as I thought, or is not, I'm not as motivated to write it as I maybe thought I was going to be. And so I will let ideas come in and just kind of stew and build on top of it. And if I realize that, hey, instead of forgetting this idea, I'm kind of building it almost every day. I keep thinking about it, and I keep making the idea bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it gets so big where I do have like, maybe it all started from a unique character, and then I came up with like, what kind of story would that character be told? It's usually I think of a story, and then I build my characters, and then I all of a sudden all these other details start rushing in, and then that's when I usually start just getting it down. So I tell people a lot of my best ideas come from when I'm just sitting at a red light. And I'm not even like trying to be creative. I'm just literally sitting there, maybe thinking about my day. Okay, where am I going? If I'm at a red light, where am I traveling to? And then out of nowhere, I'm like, oh crap, that should happen. And I let that happen a few times, and I try to become self-aware of how excited I am about the idea too. And so once I feel pretty confident, I'm like, okay, I'm clearly motivated about this idea, and I have a lot of ideas surrounding it. I should write it down now, and I'll start to write it. Now, I don't know what kind of writing you are I don't know what the specific kind of writing, if you're talking about screenwriting or writing novels, but for me, I definitely do screenplays, and I'll write out a treatment or a treatment or chicken scratch, where I'm just basically just barfing out the idea onto paper, or typing it up on my computer. And then once I go through a kind of organization process where I'm like, okay, how do I take all this mumble jumble and actually make it coherent? And then as time goes on and I start developing it more, then I start writing the screenplay. If I start writing a screenplay, that idea usually has gone through a really long kind of filtration process before I finally started fade in interior or exterior, and that's just how I go about it. Yeah, and I mean, some people might just jump right in and just kind of do improv almost, which I've done before. I've I'll go into something because I'm like, I just want to see what happens. You know, I'm going to open up Final Draft. I'm going to just start typing and see what the hell happens. And sometimes it's really, you surprise yourself. But if I'm really trying to like, I just say most times I let it stew in my head. So how do you go about writing? The answer to that is I don't. I don't go about writing yet. I let it sit in my head for a while. I let it build up. And then once it has a lot of weight, then I start typing it up. Because then I know what the hell I'm about to type. But what's a great exercise, actually, if you're having writer's block especially, is to just open up a document or write on a notepad and just start writing random shit. Just write something. Make up a character and just have him or her go through a story. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Just say, oh, hey, Greg woke up and he found that his unicorn was missing. And you just start going on. And then all of a sudden you wrote the story of how to find Greg's missing unicorn. And that helps to just get your mind going. You're not technically trying to write a good idea. Like, that's not the exercise. The exercise is just to kind of like start the engine on your brain. Like, when you're trying to start a lawnmower, that's basically what it is. So there's a lot of different techniques you can do to like get yourself moving. But as far as like actually finishing something, that's kind of the process I go through. I let it stew in my head and then I feel confident enough to write it down. So, yeah, that was a good question. Let's see. We got a question from Adam. Adam says, Elon Musk is talking about interfacing people's brains with their phones, but that will probably extend to everything, not just phones. So my question is for you, if they come out with this stuff and you can plug your brain into the internet, would you do it or not do it, and why? Well, it depends. Is it dial-up? Because I'm not going to plug my brain in a dial-up. You know, that's interesting. That's an interesting future. I don't know, man. It's interesting to be able to do a Google search in your brain and just get. I mean, would that just make everyone super smart? Is this like a Google Glass thing? Am I able to see an interface, or is it just, hey, I don't know how to do this thing. I'm gonna somehow mentally look it up on Google, and now I know, and then we're getting into some Matrix shit where it's like I know kung fu. Yeah, that's it depends. I guess I would need to hear. I would need to see the Apple presentation with the big giant screen on how they're gonna like, or Elon Musk, you know, giving this presentation on like, this is how we're surgically gonna make you smarter. Oh man, you could even have like, dude. You could have a guy on a date trying to like how to talk to women, and then he starts just blaring out like the most cringy like one-liners you could think of. Oh man, there's good and bad to it, really. I think I don't even know what I would use it for. Could you listen to music in your head? Like, I don't know. I agree with you. I feel like eventually we're gonna get to some kind of point like that, because that's the only thing left, right? When I say that, I mean like we've made it so easy to access information. Our devices keep getting smarter, and we're able to get things more quickly. And it's just a matter of time before tapping a screen takes too much time. If that makes sense. Where we need it way more instant than that. So either you're gonna have like predictive searches, where maybe you and I are talking about a coffee place, and but we're like, man, what was that coffee place that we really liked? I totally forget it, and then I check my phone and it's already searched for it, something like that. But your question is specifically things being put into people's brains. That's dangerous, man. I don't know. I think I would, just how I treat any kind of new phone. I would wait a few waves. I would let all the tech buffs, all the tech fanatics, I should say, I would wait for them to get the surgery, because you know there's people waiting in line at the hospital to get that shit installed in their brain. They would get it installed immediately, go through glitches, see what happens, and you know what? And I would just have to weigh the pros and cons. Because I'm not going to be that first guy in the line. I'm going to wait. When it comes to like brain stuff, I'm going to be waiting for not just wave 1 and 2, but I'm going to be waiting for like wave 5, 6, and 7, and 8. I'm going to be waiting a while. It's like the guy that first in line for LASIK. Hey, we're going to slice your, a layer of your eyeball open and shoot a laser in it. I'm not going to be the first guy, but I'll get it now. They've done so many of those things. Like, I feel like they kind of know what they're doing. You still got to do your research. There's some doctors that are better than others. But, yeah, I would kind of treat it like that. I would wait. If they came out with stuff where, like, your phone is in your brain, you know what? I would just deal with the rest of society and just, use my phone. And here's the thing. I barely talk to people on my phone. It's funny. I just talked to an old high school buddy. A little shout out to Ronald Prenamano, stand-up comedian in Manhattan. Just talked to him on the phone last night, and it was weird. It was like my phone. He was like, "Hey, is your number still the same?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then my phone rang. I'm like, "Whoa, my phone never does this. Who's this? A phone call?" Okay. I'm like, "Hello?" But oh no, it was really great to hear from him actually. But yeah, I rarely ever talk on the phone. I'm a text guy, so I'd be more interested in seeing how the phone would react with our brains and texting. Could I text someone with my mind? Can I see an interface? But yeah, will I do it? The answer is probably yes, in parentheses, eventually. It all depends on the waves of people that do it before me. And, oh God, there's going to be a bunch of conspiracy theories that come out. Like, oh, if you get this surgery, you're not the same anymore. You're just you're a government agent now. You're going to get stuff like that. You get through all that. So yeah, I probably would, but I just don't want to come off like I'm the sheep following the newest thing. Like, you got to get the phone surgery. Get the phone surgery in your brain. It's like, I'm going to watch other people get it first. I'm going to let it ride. If it came out tomorrow, I probably wouldn't get it. Granted, if it's like crazy expensive, I'm probably not going to be able to afford it. But if I could, it'd probably be a good like 8 to 10 years, honestly, before I actually got the thing. Because here's the thing, like, I don't need it right now. But if the world changes enough where it's like, now you do, because I'm sure there's going to be exclusive shit that you can do with the phone brain than anything else that they're not going to allow regular phone users to. Also, do you have to upgrade your software in your brain? Because I assume it's a chip in your brain and it just kind of... I'm literally trying to figure out the science how to do this. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, to answer your question, I probably would if it worked out really well, and it would be years later after it came out. I would have to make sure, and even then, I might still not. It all depends. All depends. So, yeah, guys. So those are the questions I have today. Thank you for listening, by the way. I've been getting a few more subscribers, and a lot of people have been responding to the podcast. I am still working to... I have it hosted right now, the podcast, but now I'm trying to... now I'm trying to get it out on like Spotify and iTunes and all that fun stuff. So in the meantime, stay tuned with the YouTube links. And for my Florida friends out there, stay safe and dry, and I'm sure you will. It seems like everyone's just chilling. And, I give you a lot of shit for posting about hurricane stuff all the time, but hey, Californians, we're posting earthquake shit all the time. So, and the only reason why we don't get annoyed by it is because it's us, and we're in our own little bubble, and it's okay when we do things. But when you guys do things, can you not? It's really annoying. So just take our earthquake memes, keep your hurricane memes to yourself, all right? But for real, stay safe out there, and I will see you on the next podcast, except I won't see you because it'll be audio. Bye.